Continuing. Such self-effacement, it carried to an extreme, can lead to total ineffectiveness. But if coupled with dependence on Yahweh, it can be the first step to useful ministry, for it gives him the opportunity to display his power without first removing the obstacle of pride and self-sufficiency. And that pride is a killer. You know what I'm saying? Where's that? Let me find that real quick. Pride come before the fall. Just edifying. Sometimes it's great to have somebody with you to do these videos because you know what I'm saying. You be trying to stay in step. See, I need my phone because it ain't in here. Pride come before the fall. I think it's in either the book of Psalms or Proverbs. I believe so. So Akim, like I said, bear with me, please. I ain't got a phone that could stop this and then look it up and then you know what I mean. I got, like I said, a cheap joint, you know. But look that scripture up for edification. Um, the Lord's promise, Judge, Judges 6, verse 7, Salakia, Judges chapter 6, verse 16. Yahweh did not rebuke Gideon for his objection. Instead, he nurtured his weak faith with a promise. He said, surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man. Previously, the Lord had assured Gideon that he was sending him. Now he promised to accompany Gideon on his mission. And where the presence of the Lord is, his power is also. Thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man carries a double connotation. First, it speaks of the ease of Gideon's victory. The hordes of invaders would fall as easily as if Israel were fighting one person. Salakia. Moses had earlier used this expression to describe the Lord's threat to smite all the disobedient Israelites with pestilence, which you can read in Numbers chapter 14, verse 12. Moses had objected that if the Lord killed all these people as one man, the surrounding nations would degenerate the Lord's power. No, I'm not saying the right word. Denigrate the Lord's power. A second connotation of the expression is that the victory will be accomplished all at one time. Just as one man will fall when defeated, Gideon would need only to deliver one blow to drive the Midianites out. Gideon surely knew how impossible the odds were against this happening. The Midianites' numbers were staggering. They came as grasshoppers for multitude, for both they and their camels were without number, which you can read in Judges 6 and 5. At the time Gideon engaged them in battle, they were as the sand by the sea side for multitude, which is chapter 7 and 12. They actually numbered 135,000. Chapter 8, verse 10. The kind of victory the Lord described could be achieved only by divine power. And when you get into the account, you find out that's when, you know, Gideon had 300 men. And the count goes so far as Yahweh specifically chose what men, because it was men that if they did, I can't remember exactly what it was, the factor that decided, but I think it was like if men kneeled and drank water from a stream, they weren't to go, but the man that, like I said, I don't want to mess up the account, but it's just showing you how Yahweh even chose and dictated who the men were, that were going to go. His request for additional proof, Judges 6, verses 17 and 18. And to show you how the Most High Yahweh B'Yashim Yahweh Shai was dealing with him, or at that time Yahweh was dealing with Gideon so much, Gideon was asking for specific things, and he was actually like answering, you know what I mean? Like, by this time, Gideon was sure that he had been given a divine message, but he still wanted confirmation that the angel was the Lord. Salakia, which I don't agree with. He said, show me a sign that thou talkest with me. If now I have found grace in thy sight, shows that he realized he was imposing on the goodwill of his guest. Gideon asked that the visitor remain until he brought him a present and set it before him. Salakia. Just what he expected to happen at that point is unclear, but he surely wanted the angel to signify in some way that he was accepting his gift. Since the term present can refer to a mere gift, this can be taken as a simple act of hospitality. However, the word is also used of tribute paid to a king or superior. which you can read in the book of Judges 3 and 15, 1 Kings 4 and 21, as well as certain types of offerings to Yahawah. It is used of the offerings of Cain and Abel in Genesis 4, 3 and 4, and of the meat or grain offerings prescribed in Israel's sacrificial system. Book of Leviticus chapter 2 and 1, Salakia chapter 2 verse 1 to 16, chapter 6 verses 14 to 23. It thus seems clear that Gideon intended it as a religious offering to confirm the identity of the recipient. As it turned out, the offering was generous indeed and took considerable time to prepare. It consisted of an entire kid, 11 cakes made from an ephah, half of a bushel of flour, and the broth from the meat. I might have not pronounced that right. Ephah, but it say half a bushel of flour and the broth from the meat. Judges 6, verse 19. In the time of scarcity, it must have taken considerable sacrifice to present such a gift. Our lesson text ends at Judges 6 and 18, with the Lord's promise to remain until Gideon had returned with his offering. This in itself must have encouraged Gideon, but what happened immediately afterward fixed indelibly in his mind that he had been visited and commissioned by the Lord. The incineration of the offering initially terrified him. He was expected to die in Yahweh's presence. Verses 21 and 22. But the Lord's encouragement calmed his fears, and he declared the spot a place of peace, which you can read in verse 23 and 24. When we ponder how the Lord patiently nurtured Gideon's faith, we can be encouraged to nourish ourselves on the promise of his word. Not all his works of power are in the past, which the Akim can see that now in ways. I mean, we know that Yahawah by Yashim Yahawah sent them hurricanes, that devastation, them earthquakes in Mexico. We watched this, you know what I'm saying? But, like the scripture says, he's going to send strong delusion on those. I believe that's in what, I believe Second Thessalonians. So, everybody can't see it. They rather believe the lie, you know what I mean? Ourselves on the promises of his word. Not all his works of power are in the past. In ways both great and small, he still displays himself through those who believe and live by his promises. Okay. As Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 1 and 26, for ye see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called. As we look around in our church, we may not see very many wise, mighty, or noble people. We may not see very many important or accomplished people. Truth is that Yahawah often calls common, ordinary people. He is not interested in using proud people who will take credit for what he does for his people. That's why this thing has to be a thing of selfishness. He's not dealing with prideful, haughty people. I agree with that. He often sends his call to humble, faithful people who will serve him and meet the need of the hour. And it was just making me really think about something. My demonic, she ain't my Eve. I don't want to say kids or baby mama, but is pure demon. You know what I'm saying? But anyhow, and he still worked through her. You know what I mean? He'd have me something through her mouth. Through the mouth of a demon. Something that could be edifying could come out. Something that could cut me. You know what I mean? I could get chastised through it. All that. But she used to say something. I ain't gonna go into detail, but I was just thinking about what she used to say and how if we're the fallen angels, it amazes you because in Scripture it says how the angels rejoice to do the will of the Most High. And then, when you see how this test and the truth is, it's a race for real, how all these obstacles and adversities you go through, and then at the end of it is if he's really working with you and you really accepting this and you really trying to please him, you in the end you're gonna be like one of those angels in Scripture where they're just rejoicing to do the will of the Most High. So it's like he building you the elder apostles, and I've heard other elders throughout the four corners, because I listen to a lot of GMS videos or watch a lot of GMS videos. You can see that, how he's really building you up, for what's to come, what I'm saying? It's deep. I'm gonna stop this